Hello all, welcome back to the channel. So, another tutorial today. What we have a nice textured messy top with some loose curls, and we have a mid-skin fade, keeping a titty bit of weight on the sides to push forward. If you want any more tutorials like this, just head over to the channel, you will find some more there. So, let's get straight into the tutorial. So, my client in the chair is one of my clients I've been cutting regularly for a couple of years now. His name's Sully. What I've done with Sully's hair is I've just wet it all down, and as you can see now, I'm just combing it all out into the places it wants to fall and naturally go. Once we've done that, what we're going to do, we're going to start by cutting the top of the hair, popping in a nice center profile guide. So as you can see, I'm creating a center profile guide about an inch thick. The center profile guides are a good way to give balance to the haircut and ensure we're cutting to a guideline at all times. So as you can see, once we've got the center profile guide, I'm going to start from the front, and with Sully's hair, I'm going to give it a nice triangle shape on top. Not too harsh, just dipping it ever so slightly towards the back, so keeping a bit of weight on the fringe. As you can see, working front to back, always applying good tension to the hair to ensure we're giving it a nice smooth cut. After the center profile guide is done, we're going to brush all the hair forward, and we're going to use that center profile guide to work in horizontal sections now, from back to front again, through section 1, which is the middle, then section 2, which are the left and right hand side of that center profile guide, and section 3s, which are just on the apexes of the head. As you can see, working front to back, always in that section, not jumping around the top of the head, to ensure we are cutting every single hair that needs to be cut. This ensures we do our job correctly on top and make sure it's all the same length. After this, I'm going to connect the crown over to the top of the head. So, as you can see, I've just picked up a tidgy bit at the top to use as a guideline. I've pulled that over, directed it to the back of the head, and I'm going to use that as a guideline to create a nice square finish on the back. As you can see, my fingers are pointing down to the floor at a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to do that both sides of the crown, left and right. After that, I'm going to resection the crown to the way it wants to flow. Then I'm going to come just to the bottom of that and use that guideline I created before, just to remove the excess weight. After that, what we're going to do, we're going to remove the weight off the sides now and just get ready to prep for that skin fade. So what, as you can see, I'm using horizontal sections, pulling off the top 90 degrees. So I've just turned the chair so you can see a bit more. So off the head, using a guideline off the top of the head and just connecting down, removing that excess weight that we don't need when we're going to run our guideline up with the number 3 guard later. So as you can see, section by section, pulling off the top, always just double check like I did there, using my scissors, just to ensure we're following the correct guideline from the back to the front. Exactly the same on the left hand side of the head. As you can see, I'm not taking masses off here, just creating a nice shape of Sully's head, so a nice square shape when you look at it from the front. Just a quick tip when we are doing this, just ensure we are using little sections and not taking masses off at all times. So that's the top done. As you can see, I'm just double checking in the mirror. There is nothing sticking out and the shape is correct, what we wanted to create. After that, we're going to move on to the fringe. As you can see, I've pulled the middle of the fringe down flat. So that gives our guideline to cut the fringe left to right. So as you can see, I'm just working the left-hand side now around to connect into the sides. As you can see, last section now, pulling out, using the guideline underneath, and that will just work into the sides there. And once we've done that, we're going to move to the right-hand side of the head. Always just double checking, doing the exact same technique. So pulling the fringe down, using the guideline from the middle, working around the right-hand side of the head, just to connect the sides in. This will ensure it's not too heavy on the corners and doesn't grow out funny, and will always grow out in one shape. So that's the fringe done. Just give it a bit of a shake just to ensure there's nothing sticking out and the client is happy with the length. After that, what we're going to do, we're going to add in a bit of texture on top. As you can see, I've just picked up a large chunk of the head, and what we're going to do is we're going to point cut into that, not taking loads of length off, because we've already cut the length the client wanted on top. We're just going to point cut straight into the hair and just give it a bit of texture and chop it up. As you can see, just working a couple of sections in the middle of the head, keeping a lot of length on the fringe. After that, just sprayed in a bit of sea salt spray from Slick Gorilla using my JRL hairdryer with the diffuser attachment on a really high heat and a low speed setting just to tighten up the curls and dry off the hair. After this, we're going to start the skin fade. So I put a number 3 on the JRL clipper and just working up to the point where I want to create the weight line. After that, I'm going to come in with a 2.5. So that is a 2 on the clipper, open lever, just working underneath that free guard to remove off the bulk so it's easier for us to fade after. After that, I have put a 1.5 on my clipper, open lever, so that creates a number 2. Exactly the same process as 2.5, just working below the 3 and the 2.5. So after this, we're going to come and pop in our skin line. As you can see, I'm using the mini trimmer from JRL, just putting in where I want to bald out at the bottom. Not too high, we're creating a nice dip on the back of Sully's head to create some weight over the crown. As you can see here, just clearing out all the hair. As you can see, I'm just tapping in that line with the mini trimmer. If you do struggle to get this line out with this technique, if you head over to my profile, there is a video there with a buzz cut where I did another technique when fading, where I didn't put in such a harsh line. After that, once the hair is all clear, we're going to come in with our box foil and we're just going to ever so slightly bald out the bottom of the head. Not taking the foil up to that line, because that's just going to create a really harsh line, which is going to be horrible to fade out after. Always just flicking out, ensuring we're balding out. Always just double checking with the back of our hand if we need to. So we're going to work that box foil around now, as you can see. So after that's done, what we're going to do is we're going to down fade to that guideline, what we put in with our skin line. So what I have on my clipper is a 1 guard open. I'm just flicking through the line at the bottom up to the 1.5 open, what we did before. After that, we're going to close the lever on our clipper, as you can see, tilting the head over so we can ensure the skin's tight and we're putting a bit of light on that area we're fading. So 1, just flicking out below that 1.5 we did before. After that, we're going to come in with a half guard, half open on our clipper. So 0.75, I like to call it. Just flicking below where we did the one before, through the line. And as you can see, it is getting fainter, which we want. After that, we're going to close the lever on our clipper, flicking through that line again. As you can see, just flicking out ever so slightly through the line, below the 0.75, working our way down to erasing that line. If you need to, just always refine by opening and closing your lever in the areas you feel like you need to, especially dark areas. After this, I've took off my guard. Always just clean your clipper. So open lever now. So a half, just flicking through that line. As you can see, it's slowly erasing away. After that, half open lever, 0.25, flicking through that line again until we can't see it. So as you can see, it is getting really faint now. We're working down and we're never creating a guideline again, because that's the last thing we want to do, especially when we are down fading. So as you can see, working nice and slowly, flicking out through that line to erase it. After we've done the 0.25, we're going to close the lever and just flick right through the bottom. So same principles apply for the left-hand side of the head. Always working half a head at a time, just to ensure we are giving that area what we are fading a thorough good fade. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to shut up for a bit now and just let you watch this line get erased. So once we're happy with the fade, like I was, I'm just going to come in and refine with scissor over comb. So with that free, what we did before, creating a bit of a weight line, I'm just going to slowly erase it into the area that we took some bulk off before. As you can see, not much work needed doing, because the principles we did before when pulling out the sides and connect it into the top, that ensured we didn't have too much work to do now. So always working one side at a time towards the back, front to back, just to ensure we're doing a good job and not jumping around the head and missing bits out. After this, I'm going to create some nice C cups at the front. So using my JRL trimmer, using it like a pencil ever so slightly on the corner, just tapping in a nice little C shape. Then if you do need to take a bit of weight off the front to lighten the area, just use clipper over comb ever so slightly. So matching the left hand side of Sully's head up to the right hand side, creating a nice little C there with the edge of your clipper, treating it like a pencil, then just tapping it in. And after that step, the skin fade and the full haircut is done. So as you can see here, we've created a nice medium fade, dropping it ever so slightly towards the back. Really nice texture on top of the head. Nice bit of weight on the sides just to push forward. As you can see, Sully's crown, nice and heavy, but nothing is sticking out or in a weird shape. So always at the start of each haircut, just assess your client's head shape and tailor their haircut to them. So this wraps up our little skin fade and textured top tutorial. If you want any more tutorials or any further education in your barbering career, head over to Studio 26 Education with a link below. Hope you enjoyed, subscribe and like this video.